I can, I can. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Doing amazing. Besides these fires out here, which have me super dry.
Oh, really? Are you in Los Angeles? Or the Bay Area?
I am. I'm in Los Angeles, and they have the Bobcat fires out here. So, whew, Mother Nature is trying to tell us something.
I'm actually here in Fresno, so we have the Creek Fire, the 200,000 acre fire. So you could probably
Oh,
smell the smoke
wow.
behind me. That's about 20% contained.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like, I don't, there's like not enough firefighters right now, to fight these battles. But how are you doing?
I'm doing fine as long as I stay indoors.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited about this.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. So tell us more about yourself here. Why did you want to go into acting?
Let me see. So from a young age, I was a dancer. I played basketball. I grew up sharing a bedroom with a twin, and one of the things we weren't big TV watchers, ironically, like a lot of actors are. We used to just kind of like, okay, be this person who broke their leg and they're angry because their boyfriend broke up with them, so we would always just drop into these characters, and so I think it's just something that was innate in me, and it's as after college, I played ball on scholarship. I was going to be a personal trainer, do that whole, PT thing. And I actually got asked to be in a few fashion shows. And then I auditioned for a commercial. And when I was on set, I was like, I am home. Like this is what I want to do. Going back to, doing plays when I was young and playing with my sister, my twin. So it's just something that's innate in me. Doing dance routines with my cousin, during cousins during the holidays. It's just something that's always been in me. But I think as I've gotten older, the message is so much bigger. It's about really encompassing a character and bringing it to life and hopefully being able to do work that could kind of wake someone else up or inspire them.
Are you're not originally from Los Angeles, right? You're just like everybody from LA. They're somewhere else from somewhere else in
Exactly.
the country. So where were you originally from?
So I'm a transplant as well. I'm originally from Chicago. My mom's from Guyana. She's Afro-Indo-Guyanese, and my dad's Irish and German. My dad was born in the States. My mom came up from Guyana. But I'm a Chi-Town girl, so I'm always repping my city. I love Chicago. If you've never been, you need to go. It's amazing, amazing city.
You know
Yeah.
what's actually amazing? I'm
What's
I'm
it?
I'm I'm a White Sox fan. I'm from the South Side, Joliet, Illinois.
Oh my gosh, you and my brother, you guys could chop it up. Like literally, he was just posting something because I think aren't they about to, they're going far, aren't they?
They're in first place. They're going to the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Hey, Southside Chicago.
It's funny. This is one of the few years where both sides are going to the playoffs this year. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very very exciting. So I'm
Yeah. And I'm both. I'm a fan of both. It's so ironic because people are like, you can't be a fan of both. Oh no. And I'm like, look, I grew up on the north side. I have family on the south side. I'm more of a basketball fan because I play ball. But I'm like, I love the Cubs and I love the White Sox. Like, just let me be a fan of both. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me do me. Yeah.
so you got started in plays and commercials in Chicago, and then all of a sudden you just loved it, and you just picked up yourself to Los Angeles afterwards.
Yeah, so right after college, I graduated. As I said, I was a physical therapist, actually, I'm sorry, a personal trainer right after school. I was going to take a year off and go back to school to be a physical therapist. But as I was working at the gym, I started having people ask me to do stuff. And I want to say it was about maybe like a year and a half after college. And my best friend, Corey Stewart, my road dog for life, he was in Save the Last Dance. And he's like, look, if you want to do this, you have to move to New York or LA. It has to be one or the other. Like if you want to actually really, you know, go far in this. And I was like, okay, bet. And I kid you not, I was personal training, I was serving. I learned I was working like 15 jobs, you know what I'm saying, just to save up. You know, like I want to say the last 4 months before I moved out here, I was staying at with my sister. I was like the nanny because she just had my nephew, and she's like, I'm like, look, I'm gonna pay rent. She's like, no, you're gonna save your money and you're gonna go out to LA and pursue your dreams. So yeah, it was one of those, you know, okay, someone tell me what I need to do, let me do it, execute the plan, and now I'm in LA. Yeah.
So we always hear scary stories about first moving to LA. Did you have similar stories yourself?
You know, my scariest story, ironically, was driving cross country. I headed down south and did, you know, Route 66. And my brother was in the car with me. I was like, okay, drive with me, and you know, I'll just get a ticket. You could fly back. And when we were in northern Texas, it was at night. And you know, when you're driving cross country, you're trying to like, you know, keep up with a certain, you know, speed, trying to make time because it's Chicago to LA, that drive is no joke. And we were in northern Texas, and all of a sudden everything just slowed down. You know, the drivers, I was like, why are people driving so slow? And of course, I was a lot younger, super eager. So I started like flashing the car in front of me. I would never do that now. I'm so not that driver. And I start flashing the car in front of me. And I kid you not, when he pulled up a little bit, I saw why. Because right when I went, there was a truck right here, a car right here. Right when I went to go around him, my car fishtailed. There was black ice everywhere. That's why people were slowing down. It was the most, when I tell you, like, I fishtailed, and I just remember the car turned like this, and I looked to the side, and I just see the lights of a truck, and I just froze. My brother's like, he just got his license, so he's like, relax, just go with it, grab the wheel, you know, don't steer away from it. And luckily, like, I kid you not, I feel like if my brother wasn't in that car, I would have been in a bad accident. But he was like my voice, he was like my angel on my shoulder. I tell him all the time, I'm like, I owe you a house or something, boo, because you saved us. You saved us on the way over here. So that was my scariest story, actually coming out here, you know. It
That's
was whew.
that's the reason why I don't move back to Chicago. I can't stand the winter. I can't stand the black ice, you know, that kind of stuff anymore.
Seriously. I mean, your car gets, you know, eaten up by the salt. I go back for, you know, around the holidays because I kind of miss the snow during the holidays. I've never gotten used to no snow, but yeah, the subarctic temperatures, they could keep that though. Definitely too hot.
So talk about your life adjustment into Los Angeles after you moved from Chicago. Did you get immediately get work, or did you have to take, you know, do the rounds and auditions and you know, take classes? What was your path?
So, you know, I feel like I was lucky. I actually had a best friend who was from Chicago who was out here. And I think the first thing is finding your tribe, you know, and she had some great friends out here who she introduced me to. They recommended classes. My great cousin, I actually trained with Tony Greco, who's a method trainer for years. My great cousin, Sabra Williams, an amazing actress, an amazing activist. She's doing amazing things. She told me about his class, and I just fell into that. And I've done the on camera thing and stuff like that. But you know, it started with doing, you know, plays. And the very first commercial I booked, ironically, was a Nike commercial where I was a basketball player. And I tell people, I'm like, I'm so lucky I got residual checks because in the commercial, I'm literally like a little speck in the background, like, you know, but I was so, you know, I was just in my element. You know, I remember there were like, God, I think there were like 30 of us. And like, unfortunately, a lot of people got bumped down to extra because they had four main characters and they kind of had us in the background playing ball. And I was just there doing me, dribbling, you know, playing with the basketball. And finally, the AD was like, "Okay, come on." I was just like, "Oh my God, I'm about to win an Oscar." You know, not knowing how it works, but this is my big chance. But it was so fun, you know. And I did a series of commercials. From then I did print ads, you know. And it's one of those things. I've also been a writer. You know, there's been ups and downs, you know, in my career, and I used to be at a point where I didn't understand it, but now I do because it's pushed me into doing things like writing scripts about healing and stuff like that. So I've been pushed in so many different directions that I never planned. Like, my plan before I moved out here, I didn't have that in the plan. So I think, that's a big part of it, is just kind of embracing the journey. As an actor, if there's anything I could say, is like, don't compare your path to someone else's, because you don't even know where their path leads. Their path may lead off of a cliff, and it might look like they're way high up in the mountain right now, but no, take your time, take the journey. Like, I tell people, I'm in the marathon, I'm not in the sprint. I'm not trying to act just until, a certain age. No, I'm trying to Betty White in this game. I'm trying to trying to be in my 80s, still killing it, making people laugh. So yeah, it was an interesting journey, and I'm still on that journey now. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, that's quite excellent to hear. Now, you mentioned you were under an acting coach who specialized in method acting. Would you
Yeah.
consider yourself a method actor?
Um, I am, but I say my true basis is imagination. From, as I said, going back to being in the bedroom with my sister and just tapping into our imagination. I think as an actor, no matter what training that you do, I think your strongest tool is your imagination combined with understanding other people. And when you could use your imagination and understanding and actually caring about a character enough to want to breathe life into it, those two are essential. I don't care how many on camera method classes, whatever you do, even though, although I do use method, and I have to watch that sometimes, because method could be a little, it could be a little draining on your energy. You're going back to memories and senses. And so I like to, use a fusion, but I think the core essence of me as an actor has always been my imagination and just my curiosity for other people and wanting to understand how the mind works. So I think that's really the core of me as an actor.
I love the fact that you reference your twin sister quite a bit in this conversation.
Yeah.
Where is she now? And it sounds like your family is very supportive of your career.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. So supportive. My mom, it's funny because I was working on the script. My mom was watching the Emmys, and she's like, "Daughter, I know I'm gonna see you here one day." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like I love you. That's so amazing." But yeah, my sister's back in Chicago. She's an urban horticulturist. She's raising my two nephews, her and my amazing brother-in-law. I went away to college. She was a young mom. I went away to school. She got pregnant young, and I just remember thinking like, I lost my best friend. And it's like, no, actually I gained something so much more powerful, because anyone who's ever been a parent, God bless it, I'll be a parent one day, knows that there's this wisdom that just kind of sprouts out of parents, when you have a child, and especially when you have to have a child young. So I think that wisdom she had to gain, it's inspired me so much. And like times when I'm down or when I'm confused, I could talk to her and she's just like, okay, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Like, that's a simple answer. Like she, I'm the complex actor. She's more like the simple, practical, like A, B, C. Girl, why are you going to D first? You skipped A, B, and C, So she's I can't even put it into words. Like I'll start over here trying to make me cry. But she's it's just energetically, she just means so much to me, in addition to my family. But having a twin, I mean, we're born on 11/11, twin. It's I think it's one of the best gifts that God, the universe, whatever you believe in, blessed me with. She's helped me get through a lot, and the same. I with her. So she has a piece of my heart. I love you, twin. If you're watching. Yeah.
That's excellent to hear. So let me bring up one of your first major projects that you were boarded on, was the second generation Wayans. How did that came about for you?
So I went through the casting process. Robbie Reed, an amazing casting director, that I want to say, I think I auditioned. I want to say, I think it was like 3 different times. I remember it took a while, but the last audition, it just felt right. Going back to the imagination, they let us improv a little bit. And we were just laughing in the room. I just remember, I was acting across George O'Gore, and, you know, it was just comedy. I just allowed myself to drop into it. Everyone, like improv a little bit at the end, and the improv at the end, it was just so funny and so natural. I was just like, man, if I don't get this, maybe this isn't for me, I'm just kidding. But, I'm like, it just felt so right, so when I got the call, I was like, oh my God, like, yes, let's go. And it was so fun, acting, with the likes of, Tatiana Ali, George O'Gore, as I said, D. Ray Davis, another Chicago, brethren, Craig Wayans, Damian Johnson. It was so fun behind the scenes, which I think is important. How the cast meshes behind the scenes really does inspire the work on camera. And not all the time. There's some films where you may want to disconnect because it's more of a dramatic, but it was such a fun experience. We shot in Atlanta, ATL, and it was a really great experience. I was very thankful for that. It was a really fun experience for sure. Yeah.
So when you got onto that show, did you believe that you actually finally hit the big time? Because you're acting along with the Wayans family, which is a pretty big name in the industry. I mean, what was going through your head at the time? Because you had to transplant yourself to Atlanta to be on the show with the Wayans and so on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what was going through my head. I just think I was really just taking it all in and absorbing it. And like one thing I think I've, kind of taking note from my sister is I have an imagination, I have hope, but I'm not like, oh my God, this is gonna be, X, Y, and Z. I just feel like I was just more in the moment. It was my first project, so I was worried about making sure I knew my lines. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna have my lines memorized? Am I gonna kerplunk on camera? Like, what's gonna happen? But no, yeah, absolutely. It really was one of those things where I was so excited to be in it, and I knew that it would definitely bring other opportunities, as well. Getting more on a social, unfortunately, because it was 7 years ago. The one thing that I had in the back of my mind, I was like, this is on BET, and I'm so honored to be on BET. And I wish other people in the world honored BET shows,
Mm-hmm.
So there was that one thing in my head where, and it shouldn't be there. It's kind of sad that it has to sometimes. Is like, am I going to work harder because I'm on, a network that's focused on Black entertainment? There's nothing wrong with that. But, times are definitely changing. I'm so glad to see that, because now I feel like that's not a thought that has to linger in the back of my head. Being Black and white, am I going to have to lean more to one side or another? I am who I am. People have to take our work seriously and not undermine it just because it's on one network, just because, it's, in a Black demographic, a Latino demographic, an Asian demographic. Like, respect good work. So besides that excitement and everything after, it was, and I don't even think it was in my mind during. I think it was more like when I was like submitting for other stuff and little comments that were made, and I was just like, but why? It was an amazing show. Why should that even matter? That's so ignorant, so I'm glad we're, in crazy 2020, and times are finally changing, and that's not something that has to linger. It's still there for sure. We still have a lot more to do, but it's not something that kind of lingers in the back of, my head, and so many other actors' heads as well,
So as a multiracial person like yourself, I mean, how do you see yourself in the industry today?
I know it may sound cheesy to say, but I see myself as a human. I absolutely understand as well when I go outside, people see me as a Black woman, and I am. I think, it sucks because I want to be seen as both. And now there's more, we have the ethnically ambiguous thing, which, is just pretty much a way of saying like, oh, we can't figure out what you are, so you're just kind of, universal. But the one thing I really don't like about that as much is the fact that I feel like why do you have to be ethnically ambiguous to be universal? Why can't you be from a Black background, a Latin background, an Asian background, Middle Eastern, and be universal? I think art should be a reflection of society, and society encompasses and has so many different people in it. So I know I'm of mixed race, and I embrace it, and I'm honored. I'm blessed to have, my dad's side, my white side of the family. Thank God they weren't closed-minded and racist, because I did have mixed friends who had one side of the family that ostracized them because they were mixed. But I know, as I honestly, I walk through the world as a Black woman, as a Caribbean woman, but I also know that even my Afro-Guyanese heritage is still even different from the African-American heritage as well. And I think that's something that people don't really understand or know as much. It's like we all are essentially from the same place, but there's different paths that we went, and there's different backgrounds. And I wish that people and the history we're taught educated people a lot more, so we're not so boxed in. I want to be known as an actor, a human who could play a variety of stories, an array of characters. I don't want it to be just based on race, and hopefully we're getting there. I've always had that, that high vibing thought, and I feel like we're getting closer there, because at the end of the day, the most valuable connection is a human connection, and when you kind of like blind it or limit it based on someone's race, I think it allows people to step in with bias, and it limits so many possibilities, especially in this entertainment industry,
Yeah, it's always a tough business. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about indie show that you got involved with called Roommates. Could you talk
Yeah.
more about that, because that almost sounds like it could be any LA actor's life down there.
Well, it's funny. It was me and my best friend. It was something that she wrote, and we kind of like started on it. We never really fully finished it, but Roommates is pretty much a story about Kennedy, who is someone who has a variety of roommates. You probably just heard my roommate in the kitchen. But in LA is not a cheap place. People have like I actually, ironically, for me saving and working, I was working a great, part-time. I was a virtual assistant when I moved out here. I lived in my own places a lot, and I'm like, you know what, until I get a home, like, I'm done with paying a mortgage and a half, based on Chicago prices for an apartment. I'm over it. And it's funny because, whew, I've had some experiences with roommates, but you could have, roommates who really inspire you, and you get it. Or I've had friends who have told me, I mean, I'm talking the craziest stories. I had a friend who found out her female friend borrowed her underwear. I mean, like, I'm like, that's just nasty. Like, girl, like, just go, don't wear anything. I'm sorry, but just I think it's so Terry did a great job of encompassing these really funny stories, and one is about a roommate who's pretty obsessed with me. And going back to the story, ironically, my friend told me, we're getting in an argument, and he's like about to leave, and he bends over to pick something up, and he's like wearing my thongs, and it's just like, what are you doing? So it's I'm a private person, so I like to have my space, but I think if you are out here, because it's understandable, a lot of people have roommates, just make sure to choose wisely. You got a lock in your door, like, but she did a great job. She wrote some very, very funny scripts. We had a great time shooting it. We shot it in my my old apartment. It was so much fun. That was one of the funnest things I think I've ever done. Seriously, it was so much fun.
I feel like doing smaller indie projects like that helps you grow and gain more experience on the industry, not just acting,
Yeah.
but all aspects especially
Yeah.
for yourself, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you're doing things, I was also the wardrobe stylist on there. It's like, when we came together, we were putting catering together. So it really helps you have an understanding and appreciation for not just the actors, not just the producers, but for the cast. I'm sorry, for the crew. You know, the crew is so essential and so much of the driving force to getting a project done, and they're so overlooked lots of times. You know, their name's not shining in lights and stuff like that, but I feel like it should, because they're doing a lot of the hard work. You know, I mean, can you imagine holding a boom over someone's head? Like, my arm would just, I would hit someone over the head, my arm would just conk out. Like, I don't have the muscles to do that, you know, or catering and making sure that you're so, you know, serving for people who don't have allergies, or makeup, and making sure you have the right shades, or, you know, wardrobe, making sure, okay, do I have this? Do I have a replacement? Like, there's just so many little things that go into it. It really gave me an appreciation for the people who do so much behind the scenes a lot more, for sure.
Excellent. Well, then this will bring us up to your latest biggest project, 1BR, because I actually saw this film in Netflix, and now I'm terrified to ever even have the thought to move to Los Angeles. But you braved it. How did you board this project? Why did you want to do sort of like a, I want to say, not quite a horror, but you know, a suspenseful thriller in its own way?
You know, I've always wanted to be like, that's always I'm like, oh, I hope one day I could be like in a, I mean, of course, like superhero films, you know, that's like the ultimate goal, you know, but I've always wanted to be in a thriller. I've always wanted to be in a horror film. Like, you know, going back to, you know, a big inspiration of why I act is just understanding why people's, you know, how the mind of people tick, you know, and, you know, this was just, it was an indie project. It was an indie project that could, but I really liked the basis of it. I was like, this is so probable, like, especially in LA, you know, especially in LA, people come out here, and if you're not grounded, I tell people all the time, you got to make sure that you ground yourself. You can't come out here looking for yourself, because if you come out here looking for yourself without knowing yourself first, you'll get lost. You'll get pulled in all types of wrong directions, you know. And so working on this, it was exciting, you know. It was new. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more horrors or thrillers. Hey, Jordan Peele. No, you know, but you know, I mean, he's a Candyman, and you know, Candyman, that's based in Chicago, based in Cabrini Green. I went to high school right up the street, you know, while they were in the process of knocking it down. So, you know, going back to 1BR, it was, I was so excited to do it. You know, I was so excited to be able to work on, you know, a thriller like this, and really to be, you know, that voice of reason. You know, it's, sometimes people are just so blinded, you know, it's just like, and get so lost, you know. I mean, really, you could parallel it to what's going on today. Some people are so blinded by not seeing what's needed right now, the basic human rights. That's all people are asking for. We just want you to take your blinders down and see it, you know. And you know, even though, you know, Lisa, she was, you know, some could look at her like a tough cookie, I just feel like, you know, going back to my sister, she was just real. You know, she was honest. She saw this girl who was being verbally abused by her boss, taking advantage of it. It's like, no. And I think she stood up because, you know, my backstory for Lisa is she's been out here for a minute, you know. You know, there were times where she was that timid person, but she finally saw and claimed her power and was like, never again, you know. And with that, you know, it's standing up for other people, and that's exactly who I am. You know, I got kicked out of school in third grade for fighting for my sister. You know, it's I've always been this person that's like, if I feel like people who are undermined, kind of ostracized, I was always the person to ask, well, why? You know, why? What makes them so bad that you did this or that? And you know, with Lisa, I love that character. She was strong. She fought. You know, she like I said, she was that voice of reason, and in a movie that really just shows that, you know, not that, I mean, some people can look at these people as bad, but I look at them as people who were just lost and were so desperate to find their way, they fell into this cult, you know? And that can happen to anybody. That can happen to anybody. So going back, it's so important to really unite and find your tribe and try to stay connected with people who would be like, wait, they want you to do what? No, let's go ahead and move out that apartment complex. Yeah, I have a property manager referral for you. Let me go ahead and send you that. Yeah, definitely. It was fun.
Talk about getting into that headspace during your terrifying predicament in that movie. I mean, that was pretty intense. And do you have to do that little small stunt work of yours for the film?
No, no, an amazing stunt, and some more people behind the scenes, stunt men and women. Oh my gosh, Tiffany, God, I'm forgetting her name, but I think her Instagram is Tiffany Stunts. She did the fall. She did the. I don't want to know any spoilers, but she did both falls, if you know what I'm saying. But I wanted to do it. Being the actor, I was like, no, put the backboard on me. I'll do it. I'll do it. And the head stunt coordinator was like, you may not want to do that. If you fall the wrong way, when he started breaking down what could happen, my level of respect for, for my stunt woman, my stunt double, it just escalated. I was like, she could break her wrist from just falling. She could do this. She could hurt her back. She could hurt it. I'm like, what? Like, if someone hits her in the head with the door too hard, so, but many props to the stunt woman. But in regards to getting into it, it was a fusion of that imagination and method. I definitely called on some method things, but I really tapped into the imagination for that one. I tapped into like, what would I do if I was in this scenario? I'm people are trying to erase my life. I'm trapped in this room. Then my old coworker comes in and I find out she's part of it too. And so it's like the angst, the fear, the confusion. There's just so many things to feed off of. I just really put myself in like, how would this? How would you feel if you were in this situation? How would anyone feel? Like, this is a crazy set of circumstances. They've converted a room in an apartment from the outside looks like normal. That I was like, hey, I'm getting a good deal on the apartment. And they've turned it into this cult literally inside. It wasn't too hard. That's what I'll say. It wasn't too hard for sure. It was and also I think, just like the director, and the writer David Marmor, he was so good with giving me guidance and allowing me to breathe,
Hmm.
and really like fall into the scene, which I think is so important. Yeah, of course, as actors, you definitely come on, but sometimes you just need a little, maybe a minute more to just fall into it, and I love that he allowed that space for me to really drop into, Lisa and her situation, so yeah, it was scary. I still think about it now, and I'm like, I know it was acting, but geez, like, I mean, the nail in the, I don't want to say too much to spoil it, but you saw it, so you know what I'm talking about.
I did see it. It was very creepy. How
Yeah.
was working with Nicole Bloom, the lead actress for that film?
uh, she's amazing. She has such a powerful vessel. I really did feel blessed. I think actors give and take, they feed off of each other. And she was such an amazing person for me to feed off of, her, Taylor Nichols, Giles Matthew. I mean, just every interaction I had, they gave me something and I gave them something. And I think that that's so important when you're on set. You can't be selfish. You have to know that you have to give the person who's across from you something, and you have to listen and see what they're giving you. Don't come in with this contrived thing of how you think the scene's going to go. Listen, feel the energy, because when you're actually in that moment, that's when the beauty comes out. That's when the magic is made. And that's why I think this film was able to go as far as it did, because there were so many people Ernestine, oh my God, Susan Davis. There's just so many people now. I mean, girls, and there's just so many people who just who breathe life into those characters. So yeah, but working across from Nicole, hey Boo, how you doing, Boo? She was amazing. I loved working with her and the rest of the cast, the director, everyone. It was really fun to work with her. I felt at home, and that was so important for
Well,
sure.
hey, I have to offer congratulations because 1BR when
Thank
it came
you.
out, it was in the top 10 of Netflix in the United States. So, and I'm sure
Yeah,
more people are going to watch it next month for October Halloween season. So that'll be great.
exactly. Thank you. Yes.
So moving on now, what kind of roles do you still seek out? I know that you mentioned before a comic book role is still is a way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working on a script right now. I'm working on a superhero script because I'm like, you know what? If they don't find me, hey, I have me and my three besties. So, we're out here from the beginning. One of my best friends, Terry, she came up with the idea, and together we've developed, and, it kind of, we did a short film with it, and, this, and we kind of left it to the side, and now we're back and we're revamping it, and it's just becoming this amazing, amazing project, but if I could do any, project, I really do. I love like the legal shows where people are standing up for people, and really being the voice for people who maybe they may not be able to afford someone, or there's just so many good shows because I feel like right now, the legal system, there's a lot of issues that need to be changed, and so if I could be on a show like like that, there's just so many. I don't want to name any specifics because I don't want people like, why didn't they mention my show, but I just think it's let me see, yeah, like a legal show, procedural, but yeah, no, I see. And I just feel like there's so many. I'm into energy a lot, and I feel like there's just so many, almost like a new genre, like you can't even label it. So if I could be, like we have like Black Mirror and stuff like that, like if I could be in a show like that where it deals with energy and and the different facets of the mind, different realms, different parallels, I would love to be, in something like that. I mean, superhero show, hands down, like, let's go. And there's so many different, types as well. You have like, the boys, and it's just, there's so many um just good shows. I mean, my one of my favorite shows right now is Lovecraft Country. It's just, I just love shows that are so different and
Mhm.
unexpected. So I wouldn't box myself into any specific role, but a show that allowed me to delve into a character who wasn't your typical character, or gave me room, to use my imagination and bring my uniqueness into a character. Those are the roles I want, but yeah, that's my top show. And they touched on a little bit of Guyanese history too, the indigenous people of Guyana, which was so important. I was like, I never hear Guyana on TV shows, so it was so special. But yeah, no, definitely any shows that allow me to really delve into a character and something that's unique. I'm okay with the old tried and true and traditional, but I would love to be in a show that's unique and has its own voice, and makes people look at TV differently. That's the ultimate goal for sure.
I I
So
think
yeah.
those are great. I think those are great goals. Well, I've taken a lot of your time already, but I want to wrap it up with one more thing because I know it's a silly subject to talk about because of what's going around the world and our situation. But how are you staying sane and creative during times like this?
Um, you know, there's ups and downs for sure with it. But I feel very blessed to have a group of amazing tribes. I'm part of my bestie Marilyn from Chicago. She created this amazing, tribe of Caribbean creators of Caribbean women, from the Caribbean diaspora, who are creating projects, actors, writers, directors, producers, execs, PR, you know, and also another one of my besties, Lonnie, is I'm so blessed to have strong female best friends. She has an organization that she has women of color filmmakers, and we have weekly meetings, from reading scripts to, classes, stuff like that. I also joined an amazing group, Brilliance, Brilliance Stay Driven, his brother Bruce Stevens, and we're studying the Constitution and learning how to better understand our rights. And that has me inspired to, like, I've been doing research to figure out, okay, there's some things that need to be changed, i.e. the 13th Amendment. Like, what can I do as an individual to, okay, how can I write this letter? And I know I have to, present it to one of my congressmen, and they have to present it before a board meeting, and then it has to, I think it's like 2/3 majority. Like, there's just, so I've actually taken this time to not only delve into my creative side, and especially the writing side. I'm writing more poetry. I'll be posting some, poetry on my IG soon. But also taking the time to protest as well, and not just protest in the street, but protest in my mind, and better understand my rights and share those rights with people, like my brother and my nephews, who need to understand their rights and understand that they have them, and how to voice those rights if they're in certain situations. Being with amazing groups of women who I can relate to, who are so supportive. I think I've been really blessed in this pandemic. And even though, like I said, there's definitely been ups and downs, I've really felt a rebirth. And if there's anything I wish for other people, I hope that they feel the real rebirth, and they understand that sometimes being alone can help you tap into something so much deeper, and stay more connected. Like, I feel like it's been easier to stay more connected virtually, of course, with people, because everything slowed down a lot. But the one thing I will say that I do miss is it's just that human connection. I'm starting to slowly get out there safely with my mask. We even did, for our Kidabenya creators, we did, we had a table talk, but we all got tested. We went through the steps 6 feet away. We were wearing masks, but it's inspired me, and at times frightened me in regards to thinking, like, okay, what's next? Like, what's next? What's gonna happen? But I feel this ultimate sense of rebirth, and I feel in this strange way so much stronger than I felt in a long time, because I've getting back in tune with self, and also connecting with some amazing people. So it's been ups and downs, but I feel like it's been a rebirth. I definitely feel like it's been a rebirth. But now at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to get out. Like, the cabin fever, sometimes it starts kicking in. It starts kicking in, Seriously. How's it been in Fresno?
Well, I'm talking to a lot more people virtually than ever before. So
Yeah, exactly.
uh, it's kind of crazy up here too. I don't know how crazy it is in LA. I mean, I used to go down to LA like three to four times a week just to talk to people like yourself in person. But now
Yeah,
everything's all virtual, and
yeah.
strangest thing is I have more work now than before the
Hmm.
pandemic, because a lot of people are now taking advantage of these type of conversations that they could fit more more into my schedule, so that I don't have to travel as much is the entire
Yeah.
point. So it's I do have to say, life is different, but I'm guessing we probably have another 3 to 6 months of this. The nice thing about every pandemic is that it eventually ends.
Yeah.
And once that
Yeah.
ends, yeah,
I
once that,
know. And then we still have some other battles to fight, even after the pandemic ends. But, and even that, I feel like it's allowed, the movement, the Black Lives Movement, and just standing up for human rights in general. I feel like it's kind of allowed more people to stand up. People who would have been in that 9 to 5 day to day and just simply wouldn't have had time. I feel like it's kind of giving room for that as well. So yeah, it's definitely a new day. But I'm come on, Rona, just go away, Rona. We're tired. No.
excellent. Well, it's been a great conversation, but before I let you go, You mentioned you have a IG account, so why don't you go ahead and promote that for yourself?
Yes, follow me at celeste.sully, Celeste, dot, like the period, Sully, Sully. Make sure to follow me. Stay tuned. I'll be posting not only my poetry, my future works, the round table. There'll be a bunch of stuff on there. You know, me dabbling in my vintage fashion. You'll see it all. I share it all on there.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you so much, Gig. I appreciate you. This is so fun.
hey, not a problem. Hopefully we get to do this again and maybe in person. All right.
We will, for sure. Thanks so much.
Thank
Stay
you.
blessed.
Bye now.